Today on Sugar Spun Run, I'll be showing you how to make a pineapple upside down cake. Hey Sugar Spun Bakers, welcome back to my kitchen. I'm really excited to share this recipe with you today, even though it's not exactly a new recipe. I shared this pineapple upside down cake on the blog years ago. I even filmed a video of it that was really bad. It was one of my first videos. So today we are reshooting it and I think you're going to love it. Now to get started, the first thing you want to do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, you're going to need a 9.5 or 10-inch pie plate. Now, obviously, the bottom of this pie plate is going to become the top of our pineapple upside down cake when we flip it. So we're going to start with that pineapple topping. Now, the first thing we're going to do is make a caramelized butter and brown sugar layer. So we'll start by melting 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter in the bottom of our pie plate. I'm just going to cut this butter into about tablespoon-sized pieces. It's already pretty soft, but I just want it to melt pretty quickly and evenly. Pop this in the microwave. Now you'll want to grab 1/2 cup of firmly packed light brown sugar, and we're just going to sprinkle this evenly over our melted butter. I'm just going to use my spatula to just kind of work that sugar into the butter. That way it's evenly distributed. Next, you're going to need 10 pineapple rings or pineapple slices. You can certainly use a fresh pineapple if you feel like coring it and slicing it yourself. I usually just used canned pineapple slices that are packed in pineapple juice rather than heavy syrup. So we're just going to arrange these into the bottom of our pie plate, like so. And once you've arranged your slices in the bottom of the pie plate, you'll take the remaining slices, just cut them in half, and we'll press them nicely up the sides of our pie plate. Next, you're going to need some maraschino cherries, and we're just going to place these inside of all of the pineapple rings, and we'll place them in the gaps on the sides as well. I'll tell you, this butter and sugar and fruit smells so good right now. For the past week, my house has smelled terrible because one of my dogs, actually Zach's dog, she's Zach's dog in this situation, she got into a skunk. Got sprayed by a skunk. So things have not been smelling too good around here. So this looks beautiful so far. So let's set this aside, and now we're going to prepare our vanilla cake that's going to go over the pineapples. You're going to need a large bowl, and to this bowl we are going to add 1 stick or 1/2 cup of unsalted butter, and you want this to be nice and soft. We'll add 3/4 cup of granulated sugar and use an electric mixer to cream these together until they're nicely combined. Next, you'll need 2 large eggs, and we'll add these one at a time, beating well after each addition. We'll add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Stir that in. Now we're going to combine our dry ingredients in a separate bowl. We're going to need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and we're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder and just 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We'll stir these together until everything is well combined. Now before we add these dry ingredients back to our wet ingredients, you're going to want to go ahead and measure yourself out 1/2 cup of whole milk. What we're going to do is we're going to alternate adding the dry ingredients and the milk to our wet ingredients. I always start with the dry ingredients, and I'm just going to add about 1/3 of the flour mixture to the butter mixture. Now, at this point, we are not going to be using our electric mixer anymore. You're going to want to switch over to a spatula. Now, this recipe is basically my vanilla cake. It's very similar to my vanilla cake, and as with that recipe, it's so important you do not overmix the batter. We are going to gently fold our ingredients together using a spatula. So I'm just going to gently fold the flour into the butter mixture until it is almost completely combined. And once it is, I will add about 1/2 of my milk. Stir that in, and alternating the ingredients this way just helps to make sure that our ingredients are very well combined. More flour. And the rest of our milk. Finally, the last of our flour mixture. Now we'll pour this cake batter mixture over our prepared pineapple layer. I'm just gonna use my spatula to just nudge this evenly over the cherries and pineapples. Now let's take this over to our 350 Fahrenheit preheated oven, where we are going to start by baking it for 30 minutes. Now, once 30 minutes has passed, we are going to take a piece of aluminum foil and just loosely tent this over the pineapple upside down cake. I really recommend tenting your cake with a foil because otherwise the top, or what will be the bottom, just becomes too browned and it can dry out the cake a little bit. By tenting it with the foil, we encourage a more even cooking and we let the center of the cake cook completely without the outside getting burnt. Now we'll return this to our 350 Fahrenheit oven, where we will continue to bake it covered for about another 15 minutes, or until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean, or preferably with a few moist crumbs. Now, learn from my mistake right here, and make sure when you tent your foil over your cake, you actually pop out the center like a tent. That way the foil doesn't bake into the cake like ours did here. But fortunately, the top of our cake is going to be the bottom shortly, so the appearance is not going to be affected. Now, this cake is finished baking, so we're going to let it cool completely. I'm sorry, not completely. We're going to let it cool for 10 to 15 minutes in the pie plate, and then you'll want to take a serving platter and we will carefully invert the pineapple upside down cake onto the serving platter. You'll want to let your pineapple upside down cake cool a little bit before you dig in, but personally I think this cake is best served the day it is made and when it's still at least a little bit warm from the oven. A little bit of a messy cut job there because it's still pretty warm, but that is how easy it is to make pineapple upside down cake. Hopefully you can see the soft buttery crumb. This caramelized pineapple cherry topping is so good. I think you're really gonna love this one. If you try this recipe, please let me know what you think. I always love hearing from you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.